I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I studied that, but the questions I was expecting were not the ones that came out. What I read did not come out. It was what I did read that came out. Why? The reason is because they did not study with the examination. I'm doing this video for the sake of every candidate that will be writing the UTME exam. I'm talking about the JAMB exam in the year 2026. You are so lucky to have this video. You're so fortunate to see this video because I'm going to be sharing with you vital tips that will help you succeed. Stick around to the end of this video. You are going to see very vital tips that will help you do well in the JAMB exam. I'm giving you 7 mistakes that students make, 7 reasons students fail the JAMB exam. You know what? Number 3 is a bomb. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you the truth. That particular mistake has cost a lot of people extra year at home. Somebody that ought to have just done the exam once and entered the university, secured admission, but because of this one mistake, they spend extra year at home. I'm talking about, I've seen students that did a lot, studied that, but they still could not meet up with their required score, and they spend extra time at home. I don't want that to be your portion, so please do well, stick around and follow this video to the very end so that you can get these necessary tips. Also ask me to do this, and that is why I'm doing this, so please pay attention. Last year I did this at the very beginning of preparations for JAMB, and those that saw my video, they followed the tips I gave, they followed the steps, and I have a lot of students that actually did well. We had students that scored well above 300 in their exams. We have students that scored 290 and above, 280 something. A lot of them are already studying the course of their choices in different universities in Nigeria. So please, if you can also pay attention to everything I will be talking about today, in the next few months you will also come back to share. Let's talk about those reasons students fail the JAMB exams. Number 1 reason I would like to talk about is poor understanding of the JAMB syllabus. Poor understanding of the JAMB syllabus. Now, the JAMB exams, there is a syllabus that the JAMB, that's the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, the body has already given a syllabus that every candidate needs to use to study. But the mistake that a lot of students make is that they go ahead just reading, preparing for these JAMB exams without working with the syllabus. So the syllabus is like a guideline. In fact, the topics you are expected to study for each subject has been well spelled out in the syllabus. Not only have these topics been spelled out, they have given specific things that is required, or that they are expecting that candidates should know. So many students read random topics. They don't prepare using the syllabus, and then instead of what JAMB has actually spelled out for them to read, or instead of what JAMB will set in the exams, and you see them saying, I read a lot of books, I studied that, but the questions I was expecting were not the ones that came out. What I read did not come out. It was what I did read that came out. Why? The reason is because they did not study with the examination syllabus. They ignore recommended text and focus areas. So in that syllabus, there are recommended textbooks that you're expected to read. So if you want to do well in this exam, you want to score 300 and above, it's very possible. All you need to do is get the recommended text. There are certain textbooks that JAMB has recommended. In fact, there are some questions you will come across in the exam that were lifted directly from those recommended textbooks. And that is why it's important for you to study using the recommended textbooks. Okay? Studying too broadly instead of strategically, still under poor understanding of the syllabus. A lot of students study broadly. They take a topic, they study broadly on that topic, as if they are actually going to write a theory exam. Remember, the JAMB exam is CBT, is just objective, so there are certain salient points you need to know on each topic. So you really do not need to study broadly, okay? You need to study strategically. There are things you need to look out for, key points under each topic. If you do that, it's really going to help you, all right? So that what you actually studied will come out. Those are the things you will see in the examination. What is the second reason why students fail the JAMB exam? Lack of proper exam preparation strategy. Lack of proper examination preparation strategy. Now, there are strategies to writing exams. The strategies that you use for a theory exam is different from the strategies you use to pass an objective exam. The strategy that you use to study for WAEC and NECO is totally different from the strategies that is required to study for JAMB. And why? Because these exams are not exactly the same. All right, yes, there are subtopics that you might have them in both the WAEC syllabus and the JAMB syllabus, but what the examiner is expecting of you for WAEC or NECO exam is completely different from what the examiner is expecting of you in the JAMB exam. In the WAEC exam, the examiner wants to know everything you know about it, so it's theory. There's the objective part, the theory part, you'll be writing a lot extensively on the topic. But in JAMB, there are vital key points that you need to know. So there is a strategic way you prepare for this exam. No study timetable. So under that strategic preparation plan, you need to have a study timetable. I told my students last year that if you want to score above 300 in the JAMB exam, it's very simple. 300 over 400 is just 75% of the mark. So if you want to score above 300 in JAMB, all you need to do is to make sure that you cover more than 75%, maybe 80% of the syllabus, and you are very sure that you have understood those topics very well and you can answer any question on those topics. If you are able to do that, 75%, scoring an average of 75% in all your 4 subjects, that is 300 over 400. All right, and I told them also another tip you can use, which worked for my students. You can actually cover the syllabus twice before the exams. Yes, if you start preparing now, you can do it in 4 months. You can go through the entire JAMB syllabus twice, all right, and still have time for revision. If you have not seen that strategic plan, I did a video on the strategic plan. You can check the description below. You will see the link. Go and watch that strategic plan. It will help you. It will help you break down every topic in the syllabus. If you're a science student, every topic in your chemistry, your physics, your mathematics, your biology, or your use of English, how you can break those topics down weekly, daily. How many topics do you need to study and all of that, the timetable, how you design your timetable. I have everything in that video. You need to see that video. With that blueprint, you can actually cover the JAMB syllabus 2 times before the exam. And if you can do that twice before the exams, I can assure you, you will blast the exam. All right, so you must be strategic in your study. You must have a study timetable, and then you must be consistent in your reading. Be disciplined to follow the timetable. Now, last minute cramming instead of steady preparation. Last minute cramming still under lack of proper examination strategy, preparation strategy. Some students begin to cram in the last minute. Some of them, they start just 1 month to the exam, they start preparing, and you hear some of them saying, I don't even know where to start from. Hey, where do I start from? Then they start looking for magic centers. They start looking for people that can help them, that can give them, that can help them with runs, and these guys end up disappointing them at the end. So there is no shortcut to success. You need to follow the right track. You need to go the right way. You need to be disciplined and be consistent. Don't wait till the last minute and then you start trying to cram. Studying without revision, that is another bad strategy for studying. They study without revision. All right, then and then you hear students, saying that yes, I plan to start studying for this exam early, but they keep postponing. Procrastination. All right, they procrastinate, they don't start on time, and by the time they are now ready to start, the time is gone already. So the early you start, the better for you. Early to rise, early to shine. Okay, so if you've not started preparing and you want to write the 2026 JAMB exam, this is the time to start. Now is the time to start. You better start now. All right, number 3. What is the third reason why students fail the JAMB exam? Poor time management during the exam. Poor time management during the exam. A lot of students, they do not know how to manage time in the exams. Now that the JAMB exams are fully CBT exams, and then on your computer there is a time, you have a stipulated time that you expected to spend on the exams. I used to tell my students, if you are given 2 hours for the exams, you know that you have 4 subjects, English and 3 departmental subjects. So that tells you that you shouldn't spend more than 30 minutes on any subject. You get what I'm saying? So let me use the science students. For example, you're writing chemistry, you're writing physics, you're writing mathematics or biology, as the case may be, you're writing use of English. So you are actually expected to divide that 2 hours into 4. Now you now start with the subjects that you are most proficient in. If you are very good in biology, you can start with biology. Instead of spending 30 minutes in biology, you can spend 10-15 minutes to answer the questions in biology, and then you have some 15 minutes in reserve. All right, you can go to use of English. There is no calculation there. You can answer your use of English in less than 20 minutes. Maybe 15 minutes, you reserve another 15 minutes. So if you had the 15 minutes from your biology, the leftover time, you add it to that of use of English, you have extra 30 minutes that you can add to the calculation subjects, physics and chemistry, or yes, as the case may be. So if you do that, start with the ones that you're not having. Some students will start with the calculations and they will spend the entire time trying to calculate, and by the time they have maybe about 15 minutes to the end of the time, that's when they now jump into English and they try to rush, and they end up not managing their time efficiently. So you need to manage your time. Spending too much time on each question, on a question. Do not spend too much time on a question. No, you don't. Every question carries equal mark. So there are some questions that are set to you as a trap. Those questions are there to waste your time. You must be smart. See, passing JAMB exam is not just being intelligent. You have to be smart. Okay, you might know the topic, but if you're not smart to identify topics that are, or questions that are traps, then you end up wasting time. When you see that you have spent, so I said it earlier, you're supposed to spend 30 minutes maximum on a subject. And if that is the case, the number of questions you are given, divide it by that 30 minutes so that you know how many minutes you have for each subject. So I want to let you know you have less than 1 minute on each question. Less than 1 minute on a question. Why? Because most of the questions, your subject, you're going to be answering 40 questions in a subject. So if you're answering 40 questions in 30 minutes, you know that is less than an average of 1 minute, less than that. So you have about 35 to 40 seconds for a question. So if you try a question, you did it the first time, the second you're not getting it, please skip that question and go to the next. For every question you're struggling with, there are several other questions that you can answer if you have prepared well. All right, so go ahead, answer the questions you can answer first, solve all the questions you know. Then you can now, if you have extra time left, you can now come back to sort those questions that you've not answered. Is that okay? Do not spend excess time or too much time beyond 40 seconds on a particular question. All right, they're not practicing the CBT styled time text. So as you're preparing for this JAMB exam, try to practice with the CBT app. There are several of those apps online, okay? And then yes, or if you don't have access to one, get to a CBT center and you can practice there. If you practice with the time, you get used to the time before the exam. There are so many students, they get into the exam hall and they are having to interact with the CBT interface for the very first time on the day of the exam. That is recipe for failure. There is no magic. How are you going to do well? So you should have practiced with the CBT app several times before the day of the exam. So as you are starting your exams, start preparing with the CBT app so that you get used to the timing, how the time runs and all of that. You get used to it. And then one thing I tell students, the reason why you need to do this over and over and over again, you can time yourself. Maybe the first time you used an average of over 1 minute per topic or per question. The next time you are trying it again, you should be able to beat time and make it faster than the first time. So each time you practice with the CBT app, you work on the time spent. Are you with me? Because the app can actually show you the average time spent on each question, the duration. So you can work on improving that average time spent. If you can do that, it will help you to manage your time effectively. Now, rushing at the end and guessing answers, many answers, because so many students have not properly managed their time, they start to rush at the end and then they end up guessing. In fact, some of them, their system submits because time is up even before they are done. So they said they will just say, oh, my system submitted or shut down before I finished because time was up. It's because you didn't manage your time effectively. So you are not expected to spend beyond 30 minutes on any question. You are not expected to spend more than 40 seconds on a question. If you do that, you will be able to manage your time effectively. The number 4 reason why students do not do well in the JAMB exam is that they have weak foundation in certain core subjects. Weak foundation in certain core subjects. So for example, as a science student, if you have a weak foundation in mathematics, it can affect your performance in the JAMB exam, because with your deep foundational understanding of mathematics, it's going to reflect on your performance in physics. It's going to reflect on your performance in chemistry. Is that okay? Because you're going to have to do calculations in physics. You're going to have to do calculations in chemistry. So lack of those basic understanding or foundation of the core subjects can make a lot of students fail. Poor understanding of basic mathematics, English, sciences, and then learning gaps. Okay, learning gaps into JAMB. Okay, there's the secondary school. So another one is the secondary school learning gaps. There are certain things you did in your secondary school that are not applicable when you get to the JAMB class, and that is why you need to know how to plan yourself. There are some information that you used to know in your secondary school that are not really applicable when you get to the JAMB standard, right? That is why it helps a lot if you take some JAMB classes. Is that okay? So that you can be abreast with the differences or the alterations in what you used to know in secondary school that are not applicable in the university. Let me give you an example. For some students in secondary school, they actually learned that let's take chemistry for example. You know, in the atomic structure, the atom, you have particles in the atom, you have protons, you have neutrons, you have electrons. Okay, so many people in secondary school, they had the understanding that yes, protons are positively charged, that is correct, electrons are negatively charged, that is correct. Now they have this wrong notion that neutrons are neutral, right? In secondary school, maybe that was what they were taught, but in the JAMB standards, that is not acceptable. Neutrons have no charge. All right, no charge means no charge, neither positive nor negative. So if you come with your understanding that is neutral, you could have yourself to blame. So you need to understand certain things that have changed the gap that you so you can fix them up before the exams. All right. Then memorizing instead of understanding, that is still another thing that gives a lot of students and make them not do well in the exam. They memorize instead of understanding. Don't read to memorize. Don't read to cram. Read to understand. When you understand, even if they bring another question, you will be able to apply it because you have a deep understanding of the subject matter, on the topic. Don't master answers to questions. Some people, they just cram answers of some questions. When they get there, they meet another question. But because they don't have the basic understanding of the concept, not knowing that these are still the same basic concept. The questions may not be the same, but the topics are the same. The basic concepts are the same. So if you have a deep understanding of the basic concept, then you have nothing to be scared of. Is that okay? So you see students saying, I've seen this topic before, but I don't understand it. It is because they don't have the basic understanding. They have a weak foundation of the core subjects. The next reason why students fail the JAMB exams. Before I give you the next reason, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, do well to subscribe right now, and you can share this video with your friends. All right, also remember to hit the notification bell so that you can continue to get very valuable information and content from us. On Brilliant Tutors, we give you tips to success, and then we have several videos on topics in sciences, in mathematics and physics and chemistry and biology that will really help you do well in your exams. We have a lot of topics, so you can check our channel and then you can have access to videos. And of course, you can ask questions. If you want me to do a video on any topic, I'm going to help you do that. I'll break it down in very simple terms, and you will really appreciate that. Okay. Now, number 5, poor use of past questions. Now, this is a big deal. A lot of students do not know the best way to use the past questions. In fact, there are some students, they don't even study with the past questions at all. Yes, some students don't study with the past questions. So they begin to study the past questions maybe just weeks to their exams. It is already late or getting too late at that time. So if you want to do well your exams, you want to score above 300 in the exams, you want to score above 270, 280, you have to be strategic in your preparation. And one of the things you need to do is to work with the past questions. But it is not just enough to work with past questions. You need to know how to apply or to use the past questions. There are so many past questions out there that are just they are designed year by year, the series, okay, annually. Maybe 1988 to 2025 JAMB on a particular subject you see year by year. I don't encourage my students to study past questions on a yearly basis, especially at the beginning of your preparation. The best way to use your past question is to do it topically. What do I mean by topically? You take a topic in chemistry, for example. Let's say you're studying acids, bases, and salts. Once you're done with the topic acid, bases, and salts, all you need to do is look for all questions on acid, bases, and salts from the beginning of maybe from 1988 or whatever, from the beginning to the end. Make sure you practice all of those questions and then you master it. So you can never tell yourself that you've known a topic until you have done about 50 to 60 or more questions on that topic. That is where you can tell yourself that you mastered. And the more questions you've solved, the better, the more proficient you are in that topic. And so, and these exams, they repeat questions. So if you have studied a lot of past questions, practice them before on each topic, you can be sure that maybe one of those top questions you've practiced in the past is what you'll meet in the exam. So what I recommend, there are some past questions that have already arranged their questions topically. Yes, they have arranged the questions topically, all the questions for the various years, they have separated them topically. So if you say you are studying on acid, base and salt, you see about 50 questions on acid, base and salt. You are studying electrolysis, you see questions on electrolysis. In physics, you are studying projectiles, equation of motion, you see topics on motion, right, on projectile. They are all accumulated together under that topic. That is the best type of past questions to use. So if you do that at the beginning of your study, you do that, then towards the end of your preparation, right, that is now when you can now begin to do those annually, yearly. Let me tell you another reason why this method is better practicing your past question. Now, sometimes when you use the annual, the yearly ones, maybe the one for, you say, let me try chemistry for year 2023, for year 2024, for 1995. You'll notice that many times when you try annually like that, you try the first year, maybe out of 50, maybe you score 25 over 50. Okay, you tell yourself, in the next attempt, I will do better. All right. The next one, you score maybe 24 over 50, 27 over 50. At some point, you begin to get discouraged that, oh, after all that I've been reading, or after all I've read, I'm still scoring 25, I'm still not scoring high scores. It can discourage you, all right? And then you end up just ignoring the past questions and not using them. Because if you didn't do well, even though you are trying, you're reading, you're not doing well, it discourages you. So that is not really the best way to use past questions at the beginning. So, and the reason why you're not doing so well annually on those yearly past questions is because you have not covered enough topics that you need to cover. So the more topics you cover, the better you do in those past questions. So the better way to use your past question, look for those past questions that are topically, arranged topically. All right. If you need some recommendations, you can go to my comment section and I will recommend some for you that can help you. They have arranged those questions topically. So on acid, base and salt, you see several questions on it. On stoichiometry, you see several questions on it, and then you know you have mastered this topic. Is that okay? So that is the best way to use your past questions. Okay. So then some people practice without reviewing answers and explanations. So these topical questions, these topical past questions, they also have explanations. All right, they have explanations. They tell you, they give you the solution to the questions, and they explain in details. So it's always good to go back to those explanations and read through, so that whatever mistake you made while solving the questions, you see how they've solved them, and then you don't make that mistake the next time. So please don't just use the past questions without using, and that is why some past questions where they just give you ABCD as the solution to their questions, those are not the best past questions. There are some past questions where each question is explained. Okay, they tell you why this is the answer, they break it down for you, and they even still give you some tips. Those are the best kind of past questions you can use to prepare for your exams. All right. So then memorizing answers and not understanding, instead of understanding the patterns. So I've spoken about that. Don't try to memorize answers to questions. Rather, understand the pattern, and you will be able to answer questions in that regard. So study your past questions in the right way, which is what? Topically and not yearly. At least at the beginning there, when it's close to the exams, when you've covered a lot of the topics or maybe all of the topics, you can now begin to do yearly past question practice. All right, thank you. Now let's go to the next, number 6. So before I go to number 6, let's do a recap of what we've done so far. Number 1, I said poor understanding of the JAMB syllabus. Number 2, I said lack of proper examination preparation strategy. Number 3, I spoke about poor time management during the exam. Number 4, I spoke about weak foundation in core subjects. And then number 5, I spoke about poor use of past questions. So what is the 6th reason why students fail the JAMB exam? Number 6, exam fear, anxiety, and poor exam discipline. Fear has made a lot of students fail their exams. They just have this phobia, this fear that they can't do well in exam. Some students even believe that they can't do well without assistance in an exam. It's a wrong mindset. You can do well. You've got what it takes to do well in any exam. All you just need to do is to prepare effectively. If you prepare well, you do well. But if you fail to plan, you have already planned to fail. So what is fear? F-E-A-R. Let me give you an acronym of what fear is. Fear simply means, F is for false, F-A-L-S-E. E is expectation, A is appearing, R is real. So fear means false expectation appearing real. So it's a false expectation. It's not true that you cannot understand it. Some people just believe, oh, this topic I can't understand is difficult. It is not true. All right, it's a false expectation that is just appearing real. It's not real. If you give your time, dedicate time to study, you will see that these topics are actually not difficult. So fear is not real. So do not allow fear to tie you down, right? So overthinking questions. Some students, they overthink questions before they get exams, or before they conclude on which answer to choose. They spend time thinking about it. I'm still under exam fear and anxiety, not following instructions properly. The most important part of the exam is the instructions. Read the instructions, follow the instructions. If they tell you don't start yet, please don't start. If they tell you this is what to do, make sure you read the instructions. It's very, very important and you follow. Then some students click the wrong options out of fear and anxiety. They know the answer, but because they are scared, because of anxiety, they end up clicking the wrong options. You have to be bold. In fact, one of the things that fuel fear in the exam is lack of preparation, lack of adequate preparation. So if you prepare well, your confidence level will increase. When you prepare well, you'll be confident and you can sit for that exam and you can do that exam well. All right. So then what about so let's take the last point, the 7th point, which I'll be talking about is overdependence on shortcuts or assistance or expo or runs. Hey, run, oh, red flag, run. There are some guys that are out there because they know that JAMB students are naive. A lot of them are young people, all right? They take advantage of their naivety and then they tell them, we are going to help you. We will just send the exam registration number. We know the exact venue where you are going to write your exam. In fact, we know the system that you will use to write. We will send specific questions there. We will do this. They are all lies. They are liars. These things do not work. At the end, they send doctored results to students. And by the time the students carry these results, they go. And at the end of the day, they want to get admission. It becomes difficult. These same guys will still tell you to pay money to get assistance for your admission. At the end of the day, they give fake admissions to students. I've seen students that entered university and they got to 300 level before they discovered that they had been on fake admission. They had spent money, they had wasted time. At the end, they were rusticated from the school. Why? Because they try to follow the shortcut. Anybody that follows shortcut will be cut short. That is the truth. So please do not follow shortcut. Don't try to look for assistance. Don't try to look for runs. These guys are liars. They are just ready to milk you guys to make money out of your naivety. Do not be naive. You can write that exam by yourself. There is nothing special in the JAMB exam. There's nothing too difficult there. You can write the exam and you can pass the exam by yourself. So do not depend on expo. Is that okay? So trusting exam malpractices will fail. They will promise you, but they will fail you. I can assure you they won't be there for you. They're not taking personal study seriously. Please, rather than depending on that you're going to get runs or expo, study and personally study and prepare well for these exams so that you can do well. All right, so that you will not be disappointed. Is that okay? Now, as we conclude, you need to know that JAMB failure is really about intelligence. It's not because students are not intelligent. A lot of those students are intelligent, but it's more of lack of strategic planning, lack of strategic preparation. All right, that is what make a lot of students to fail in the exam. So if you can strategically plan for these exams, you will do well. Start early. Do not procrastinate. All right, start now. The best time to start is now. Don't wait till January next year. Don't wait till February before you start preparing. Start now, and the best will be what you will see if you can start now. So as I conclude, I want to ask you, which of these 7 mistakes that I listed has ever happened to you in the past? Go to the comment section and share with us if any of these 7 mistakes, if you've ever made any of these mistakes. Go there, share with us, and let us know also the plan you're making so that you don't make these mistakes yet again. I want to believe you got value from this video. I want to also invite you to subscribe for our online classes. We have online classes. We also have physical classes. We have at Brainiac Tutors. You can meet us. You can check the description. You'll see more details about coaching centers. We give the best to our students. We give them quality. We have a lot of students in the past that have done exceptionally well in the exams. We'll be interviewing some of them. You can see videos of our students that scored 344, scored above 300, 290 something. A lot of them. We did videos, interviews from these students. You can listen and learn 1 or 2 tips from them. Alright, so that will be all for now. Make sure you share this video with your friends, somebody that wants to sit for the 2026 JAMB exam. Make sure you share this video with them. Do not be stingy with information. All right, you will help somebody by sharing this video, and they will really appreciate you. And please like this video, comment on it, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thank you for being a part of this. If you have any question, do well to put the questions on the comment section. I will be right back to give you answers to all of your questions. Thank you for now. My name is Coach Paul. I'm the CEO of Brainiac Tutors. See you in the next video. Bye for now.